Hi, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Proud to live in the greatest country in the world. Unfiltered opinions, no PC discussion here. Agree, disagree, hate it, love it, it's all good. Sit back and enjoy some unfiltered commentary. We discuss politics, culture, interviews, and more. Your comments are always welcome. Please help the channel by hitting that subscribe button. Doesn't cost a thing. And as always, thanks for your support. Hi, folks. Welcome back. Just the news. It's a really good website, too. I recommend it highly. If you're looking for information and news without the PC filter or the bias, this is a good place to go. Majority of new polls support allowing authorities to require proof of citizenship for voting. Those in favor outnumber those opposed by more than 2 to 1. Well, it's about damn time. It's about time. Before we go on to this article, I think it's a very important topic. I want to thank my new subscribers. I really, really appreciate it. I'm a brand new podcast channel here on YouTube, a small one, tiny, and I'm a very small fish in a big ocean, and I really appreciate it. So anybody out there, I'm not going to ask you for money. I'm just going to ask for your support. If you click that subscribe button, I would really, really appreciate it. And notification bell as well. It would really help me out. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I can start getting some ad money. I can really, really ramp up the channel and start doing some big things here. But I need your help, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I think this poll indicates one thing, and that is the vast majority of people knows what went on during the presidential election. And you can't use the F word here on YouTube, and it's not the F word you think it is. Let's read on. Although it is illegal for non-citizens to vote in U.S. federal elections, a 1993 law prevents officials from requiring proofs of citizenship. And 56% of registered voters in a new survey think that should change. The majority of the respondents in the new Just the News poll with Scott Rasmussen say the law should be changed so that it's legal to check voters for U.S. citizenship status. 26% of the voters said the law should go unchanged. By political affiliations, and this isn't a big shock, 46% of Democrats agreed that citizenship checks should be legal. That's almost half of Democrats. That's a huge number for them, compared to 74% for Republicans. I give you there's the breakdown there. Not sure, 18. So not sure or yes is 74%. That's 3/4. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And I think I know why the numbers are climbing up for voter ID, proof of citizenship, that kind of thing. The average person knows. This, even the semi-informed voter, and there's a lot of low information voters out there. Doesn't mean they're not intelligent. It doesn't mean they're not smart. Just the decisions and the information they had to make their decision on who they vote for is very low amount of information. And that's really sad, because all the different sources of info out there. This is the information age with the internet. But I would say 80% plus of the mainstream, at least cable news media, is so biased and twisted that it's unrecognizable anymore. And that's where the people get their 15, 20, 30 second, if they're lucky, sound bites. And they're making big decisions like who to pick to be the leader of the free world. It's pretty scary stuff. And those of us that really like to dive into policy and information, it's very much like a fire hose. You're trying to get a drink out of it, and there's so much pouring out of it, you just can't. So I think people are coming around. I think they see what happened. I would guess Now, this is just my personal guess. I would guess that about 85% of registered Republicans know what happened in the presidential election. They know exactly what happened. And I won't use the F word here. And I'll bet you probably 65% of Democrats believe the same thing. But the difference is for the Democrats, to them, the end justifies the means. They do what they had to do in order to win. It's justifiable to get Donald Trump out because Trump derangement syndrome is real. But that's very dangerous. But even still, in the back of their minds, they know, this could backfire on us. So maybe we ought to start coming around to having IDs. Citizenship, of course, is the no-brainer. And I'm not sure how they would do that. Now, I have a driver's license here. I live in upstate New York. Is a driver's license different for a non-citizen, legal alien, green card holder, whatever you want to call them? Because that was the problem in New York. They were giving out licenses. And there were people who were registering to vote with them. Believe me, they were. By the tens of thousands, just in upstate New York here, and probably 10 times that in New York City. So how can the federal government make it so you're a citizen or non-citizen on your driver's license? Maybe not put citizen, put non-citizen. I don't think that's that big of a deal, frankly, just to vote. Now, I would certainly go along with this. Every state, now federal law, I don't know if they'll be able to do this, but I would like to have every state issue ID for voting purposes only. It's cheap. I mean, it's with the technology today. I doubt if it costs them out of pocket $2 a piece. That probably includes the postage. And they'll say, well, some people can't afford $2. Give me a break. Jesus, I'm so sick of this. They don't know where to go to fill out, and non-white people don't know where the DMV is, and non-white people don't know how to do this, and non-white people don't have access to the internet. Even you screwed up progressives. You know how racist you sound? You know how racist that is, really? That they're so stupid that they can't figure it out like normal people because they're different. I mean, that's by definition racism. There's some videos here on YouTube of, I think it's Ami Horowitz, and he interviews some typical little twerpy progressives in New York University, the ultra-liberal spot of New York City, and all the excuses why voter ID isn't required because they can't get this and they don't know where the DMV is. And then he goes to Harlem and says, this is what people are saying, why voter ID. And they're insulted. Black people are insulted. So what are you talking about? Who says racist stuff like that? Well, of course, guess what? It's the Democrats. It's the Democrats that treat them like they're 4-year-olds. And that, friends, is prejudice and racism both. But I digress, as usual. The survey, which was taken by 1,200 registered voters, conducted by Rasmussen from December 10th through 12th. So it's recent. To see the polls cost demographic tabulations, click here to see the polls methodology and sample demographics. So let's click and see. Let's check it out. And this is a pretty good site, Just the News. I get a lot out of it. They're straightforward. They don't put their thumb on the scale. And there it is there. It is illegal for non-citizens to vote in U.S. federal elections. And it gives you the breakdown. Change law to allow citizenship check, yes. 56, 26, 19. And then they have the age brackets. It's interesting. It really is. Look at under race. Hispanics and white, about the same, which it usually is as a rule, almost right down the line. It's fascinating stuff. Of course, we all know that the progressives won't admit this because that would be horrible, that most Hispanic people are white. They are direct descendants of the Spanish conquistadors that took over all of South America, Central America, Mexico, and a lot of southern part of the current United States. Look at the last 3 presidents of Mexico. They're as white can be. And for some reason, they'll never acknowledge that. It's the damnedest thing I ever saw. There's terrible racism in Mexico. If you're white-looking, i.e. European, Spanish, but you're darker color, i.e. indigenous people, and we would call them here Native Americans, you're treated very badly by the white Mexicans because the vast majority are white. I just don't understand these progressives. Anyway, I digress again, but it's so hard to figure out how they come up with this stuff. I mean, they must just sit around and, hire a couple like a comedy sketch writers from TV shows and said, okay, guys, what's going to be the next topic we're going to pound these horrible Republicans and conservatives with? What's the most batshit crazy thing we can think of? There's 1,016 genders. Yeah, that's it. Let's do that. Or let's say that Latinos, which is a new race of people because they're the descendants of Spanish conquistadors mixed in with the indigenous people. Let's call them this and let's call them that. It's just as amazing to me. It's just amazing. I sigh about the whole thing, but the problem is normally these progressives wouldn't be such a problem, but now they're in charge of stuff, important stuff. Maybe even in charge of the White House, we'll have to see. But if you want to pause the video and check out the percentages here, it's pretty interesting. I was surprised that the breakdown was so close between men and women. It really was. I thought it'd be a wider gap. I thought the ladies would say no more, but it's exactly 26% no. And not sure. It's a little bit higher on the ladies. So I'm good for you, ladies. Usually a little bit more, I'll call liberal, for lack of a better term, when it comes to issues like this. But I'm actually encouraged by this. I really am. Because the fact of the matter is, nobody cares what your gender is. Nobody cares what your race is. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. All they care about, as far as voting goes, are you a resident to the address you say you are for local municipalities to vote in? And are you a citizen of the United States? That's it. That's it. And we have some of the most liberal, when I say liberal, I mean holes in the system of any large democracy and republic in the world. My understanding is out of 42 European countries, and I count Australia and New Zealand as European country, 40 out of 42 of them require a voter ID. Even Mexico, if you look at my thumbnail here for the video, requires ID. I believe Canada does too, but I'm not sure. But 40 out of 42 what I call European nations, and including Mexico, and I'm sure almost all of Central and South America probably does as well. But for some reason, the Americans are always the bad guys. No matter what we do, it's about racism and it's about this and about that. No, it's about fairness. If you're legally eligible to vote, you should be able to vote. Fill out the proper paperwork, get off your behinds, and go down and do it if it's important. Like the last election here, with those tens of millions of ballots that went out, unsolicited. Do you really and truly want someone that's sitting on their butt in their pajamas, and the only way they're going to vote, if you knock on their door, walk in their kitchen, and you don't have to get up from the chair and you fill it out from there to vote because you're too damn lazy to even go to the door or spend 15 minutes to go register to vote? Do you really want those people making the decision who your leaders are? Honestly and truly, and this has nothing to do with race. There's lazy people from all walks of life and all races and genders that just don't give a damn. But they'll vote if you put it right in front of them and it's convenient for them. It's an obligation, and a big obligation and responsibility as a citizen of the republic to vote. You should get off your butt and register. Now, I was talking about earlier, I think each state would pay for ID. I have no problem with it. Even if it's $2 or $3. Check a box. If one of those deals that we can't afford it or whatever, just to appease the progressive morons. But I think that would be fine. A photo ID for voting purposes. I haven't. You know who raises hell about it? The Democrats. And I was a Democrat for years and years and years. I was a local city councilman, a local elected official here in upstate New York for 8 years. And I was city council president in 2006. And it's the Democrats that always have the problem. And it makes you go, why do you think that is? I think we all know why. It's flagrant in this area, and I'm sure it's flagrant everywhere else. I'm not saying the Republicans are above cheating. I'm not saying that at all. But I know the Dems do their fair share. And this isn't about the presidential election. YouTube, so don't take this video down. This is about free and fair elections. Being fair being the key word. Anyway, folks, sorry to ramble on, but I think this topic is so important. I'm very encouraged by the fact that the percentages are going up for identification for citizenship, and next is ID to vote. I have no problem with any of it. To make it honest and true. And then people maybe, at least the majority of them anyway, can start believing in the system again. And until next time, folks, goodbye and definitely good luck.